Hi, Bill Edstrom here, and I am showing you new features in Tracktion 6, and in this video I'm going to talk about new features related to automation. And the biggest thing is these automation tracks that can be attached to an existing track. So here I've got a simple project. And what I want to do is add a little automation on this guitar just to demonstrate how these automation tracks work. Now the way you do that is to click plus over here. If we click the plus once, you'll see that it adds an automation track. Once you have it in there, you can assign what you would like to automate on that track. Typically we automate things like pan and volume or some parameter from one of your plugins. To do that, you grab this automation, and click it, and then you can select from any of the parameters that are available from any of the plugins. So if we wanted to put volume there, we could choose volume and then click, and then here is our automation curve. To add nodes to this in order to shape it, you can either double click to add nodes to it, or you can hold down your Alt key or your Option key and click, and that will add a node. Once you've got nodes, then you can start to shape this like you kind of probably would expect from an automation feature if you've used other digital audio workstations. You can see that the track is named with the parameter name. The line is also named with the parameter right there. So this is also a new feature. It gives you the value. It's showing you the real-time value. So as it plays back, you can actually watch that value. Now, another way you can do this is to actually take, I'm going to remove this one, is you can actually drag this plus sign so you can assign it a parameter and create the track in one move. So I'll drag the plus over here, drop it on the volume and pan object plugin, and choose pan. You can see I've chosen it in one step. So that's all kind of cool. You can do the same thing with third-party plugins. So if we wanted to create another one of these tracks, I'll put one below it here, and automate something related to the reverb, then we just drag this A up, drop it on the reverb, and choose one of the parameters. So we'll choose this room size parameter, and let's put in a few nodes on here and create some sort of a shape. Got the volume cranked up there. See, it's dry right there because the sounding, because the room size for the reverb here, it came way down. Now it's going to go back up. You can watch it here. All right, so that's all well and good. Now, another new feature is that you can remap these things. Let me draw in a little automation on here as well. When you put in the automation, you can single click while holding down Alt or Option, or you can double click, and then you get these line segments, and for each segment you have basically two endpoints, and between the endpoints you have these nodes that you can grab and create a shape. So you've got kind of a line that you can then shape to create exactly the kind of fade you want. Now, what if you change the tempo? I'll show you what normally happens, and I'm going to turn off this parameter per plugin called remap on tempo change. This is new. By default, this was not here before and not turned on. So with that off, I'm going to also show you that I've got these clips are set to the time stretch mode called Elastic Pro, and on their loop properties, they're auto tempo. That means as you change the tempo, these loops and clips will adjust to the tempo change. So to change the tempo, I'll click right here on the tempo in the master section, and then I'm going to just double it here. I'll go to 200. And notice that when I did that, the automation did not move along with it because the automation by default is not remapping on tempo changes. So that's what this feature is all about. So I'm going to change the tempo here back to 100. And then we're going to, on these plugins, turn this back on. So we've got remap on tempo change, and I'll show you the difference. Got reverb. So I think I've got it for all of them. It's by plugin. So now watch these as I change the tempo. So this time I'll type in, we'll go to 50. And as we did that, it redrew the shapes and it stretched those out to match the new tempo. Now I'll change this back to, we'll go to 200. And all of those automation curves are following right along. And then we'll put this back to, the actual tempo of this song is about 80. So we'll put this back to approximately 80. And you can see that all the automation tracks along just like you would. And you can also keep it locked to the clip if you turn on the automation lock over here. This is not a new feature, but it's still cool. If you do this, then as you move these around, you'll see the automation sticks with it. So if you move it later or earlier, then the automation moves. Now, what if you always want it to scale in the way that I showed you? This parameter right here, remap on tempo change, what if you just always want it to do that while you're working on your edit? Well, there's a new feature that allows you to set that as the default. So on the time bar area, just click on the timeline here, go to default remapping. Remapping means what do you do to different objects while you're changing the tempo. And this is basically saying you're going to basically stretch all these things to match all these different kinds of clips. Well, now there's a new one called Remap Plugin Automation. When you turn that on, that becomes the default. It doesn't change anything within your project, but as you add new plugins or create new tracks, then they will have this parameter set to on by default. Normally, you'd like to have that on, you would think, unless you want to copy one of these clips to a different area and then set some new automation to go with it. Anyway, that's an update on Tracktion 6 with some of the changes to the automation feature. One of the cool things about this is that once you've got this set up this way, you can collapse these tracks, much like you do with folder tracks by clicking this little arrow, and that hides away the automation. You see the little arrows there, that gives you a visual clue that there's some active automation tracks that are hidden there. So you click that open, you can work on your automation and then hide them away. Previously, the automation tracks lived on any track. You could assign them to any track you want. You could collect them into a folder if you want, but now you've got a much handier way to keep them organized. And thanks for watching.